Hey everyone, this is Robbe with Believe in the Run. Today, pretty excited. We're going to be talking to Jake Jackson, Ultrarunner. He's actually sponsored by XOSKIN. For anyone who's joining, once again, we're talking to Jake Jackson, Ultrarunner. Pretty cool dude. He should be joining us any second here. So yeah, Jake's actually sponsored by XOSKIN, Hoka, Running Rabbit. He's here with XOSKIN today. Should be here in a second. Here he is, coming from his own account. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Robbie. Not much, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Not too bad
That's
for a Thursday.
awesome. Yeah. Where? Are you, hey, by the way, where are you at right now? Where do you live? Because I didn't even get that.
Loma Linda, California. It's,
Okay.
about an hour out of LA.
So you're at 8:00 a.m. right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool, man. So yeah, I guess we're getting your day started in a way.
Yeah. Got my run in, so yeah, it's starting out pretty good.
That's awesome. So sorry, just adjusting my camera here a little bit. It's a little wacky. Oh,
yeah, my
gosh.
kids are out of school right now, so I'm gonna do this outside so they can do their schoolwork and not be loud. So
how's that going, by the way?
It's been tough for them.
Yeah.
You know, at first they were all excited because, we don't have to go to school, but the past couple of weeks they've been missing their friends and, it's an adjustment for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And how many kids do you have?
I have two older boys and
Okay.
my daughter's youngest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have two. They're a little bit younger. They're 1 and 4. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. 2 in high school and 1 in elementary. So.
Nice, cool. So yeah, for anyone who's joining, Jake is an ultra runner. He's a sponsor. I think we just covered a little bit before you got on XOSKIN. Also Hoka and Rabbit, is that correct?
Just Rabbit, yeah, Rabbit.
Okay.
Prevail Botanicals and Squirrel's Nut Butter.
Okay, cool. So that's nice. And anyone who's been in the trail running scene, they've probably heard those guys before. And and XOSKIN. We've done some stuff with XOSKIN. We've worn them. We're pretty. We've always had a good experience with them. So we'll get into a little bit of that along the way. But so yeah, tell people a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got into ultra running, because I feel like have you been an ultra runner maybe like 5-6 years? I've been looking at it on Runs Ultra Sign Up, and I'm kind of tracking.
Yeah, I got into running a little bit later. I mean, I played sports and growing up in school, was never really good at any of them.
Okay.
It's kind of average, played all the sports I could.
Like a classic runner.
Yeah. Actually, track was like the thing I dreaded the most. It was kind of the thing that I did to get ready for like baseball and football and basketball,
Right.
So kind of stepped away from that for a while when I got out of high school and started playing music a little bit more, tried to focus on, being in a band and going that route. Didn't get into running until after our daughter was born about 10 years ago. My wife and I were both kind of overweight, not living a really healthy life, kind of smoked every now and again. And decided, once we had our daughter that maybe we should start, trying to take a little bit better care of ourselves, to keep up with our kids because they were all super active and young. So we ended up getting gym memberships, and I was never really big into like lifting weights or anything. So there was a whole line of treadmills sitting there. So I hopped on one day and said, wow, this isn't too bad. And yeah, just, did the typical, 5K, 10K, half marathon, build up to a marathon. Got to run Boston, 3 times. And then, that you just get that idea of, how far can I run? And then you start seeing people doing these really crazy, 50-mile, 100-mile races. And you think, well, maybe I can start doing that too. And so that's kind of where it took off from.
Nice. And you've obviously had a pretty good success with some of these longer distances. I want to talk a little bit about last year, really. You were on the U.S. You were on the United States team for the 24-hour World Championships, which the U.S. won the gold medal in that, correct?
Right, yeah.
And you threw down, it was pretty wild, 165 miles in 24 hours. and you only wore one pair of socks, which
Right.
was your XOSKIN socks, which is
Yeah.
pretty amazing to go blister free and wear one pair of socks for 165. Yeah, so I found that to be impressive on both accounts. But can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was weird because I had never done a 24-hour race until 2018.
Okay.
The beginning of well, no, it was 2017 actually, and it was just one of those. Oh, let's see what I can do for 24 hours. Just something out of the blue to try, and I did fairly well, and I ended up qualifying to run Desert Solstice. Yeah, it's an invitational race that Air puts on out in Phoenix.
Okay.
I ended up running that in the end of 2018 and ran, what was it, 157 miles there, placing just behind Camille Herron when she set her world record run.
Right.
And then people were telling me, well, but you qualified to run for the U.S. team. And I was like second on the team to qualify. And
Were you even trying to, were you trying to do that?
No, I had no idea. I ended up breaking at Desert Solstice. I ended up breaking, I think it was like a 30-year-old 40 to 44 age group record for track, which I had no idea. They told me that at the award ceremony, and so I ended up qualifying for the U.S. team, and it was just overwhelming. Like, getting to run with some of those legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was. Kind of like backstage at a rock concert, seeing your favorite band. You're just walking around with all these amazing athletes. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience being able to go out there with the family.
That's awesome. Was it held in France? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was in Albi, France.
Nice. That's
first time international travel. And it was stressful and exciting all wrapped into one trip.
Oh man, that's wild. So obviously that was amazing. And then just this past February, you also ran at the Jackpot. Is it correct? The Jackpot Invitational, which was the USATF 100-mile road race championships. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and you came in second, right?
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
I'd ran that last year and kind of went into it a little bit hurt. I'd run a race the year before and then kind of jumped into another race in January and got hurt there, and then tried to run a Jackpot again and didn't have a really great race. So I knew I wanted to come back and run it again. And I just started working with the coach, Patrick Reagan, in this past December. So we were like really focused on, increasing my speed and throwing down a much better time this year at Jackpot. So.
Nice. And what did you finish that 100-mile in?
That was 13:33.
Okay, so yeah, obviously pretty decent.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm 37, so it is funny how especially people who come to running like a little bit later in life, like me or like you did, like our age group or that 35 to 45 range is like super competitive. Like there is. There's just a lot of competition out there because I think running it's a little bit different than other sports where like you can still progress like pretty like through your 40s. I mean, you see people like Mike Wardy, and I'm sure you've seen, who's now 46, 47, is still like throwing down like insane times and FKTs and everything. So I don't know, it's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, I think just the older you get, I mean, they say, older, a little wiser. I think with running, especially these really long distances, it turns out to be way more of a mental thing. And I think the older you are, the more experience you have, you can build off of those, experiences, and you just get better. Just on the mental side, you're always going to have the natural runners who are just, fit and can do things just, without any problems. But I think, these longer races, it's way more mental than anything.
Well, and I think that is the nice part about longer races is that they kind of even the playing field, because you do have to use some strategy. It's not just running gun.
Yeah.
Like you have to actually work your way through problems that are going to arise, which
definitely
will.
Yeah. And I think, if I were to start doing this in my 20s, when I had kids, it'd be, I'm sure you deal with the same things with the time constraints and just getting out there and getting the runs done.
For sure.
I think you start seeing especially the longer distances, you obviously have to run a little bit more to train your body to get used to that. And I think when you get into your late 30s and 40s, your kids are a little bit older maybe, and you just have a little bit more time to do that. So
Yeah, definitely. So what are you doing now that everything is kind of postponed or canceled? Are you still kind of just maintaining your fitness levels and looking forward to when races open back up?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. My job, I work as a truck driver at UPS, so we're
nice.
considered essential. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just been business as usual. Actually,
Okay.
business there, it's almost like Christmas time because
Yeah,
there's
right.
just been so much more online orders going on.
Sure.
We've just been super busy. So, for me, my life, really hasn't changed all that much. I mean, my kids are at home. That's a big difference. But yeah, my motivation, it ebbs and flows just like everybody right now. It's like you try to train as hard as you can for a race, and then you find out a month ahead of time that it's been canceled. So it's kind of like starting all over again, over and over and over. And
Yeah.
The virtual races are fun, but they're never going to take the place of being able to be out there with the community and
right.
Having that personal experience.
And in an ultra sense, you don't get bacon and whiskey and other things in a virtual race.
For sure. I mean, I guess you could, but maybe you feel a little bit guilty for doing that.
You have like a table set up in front of your house where you're just like,
yeah.
blah.
Yeah. It was weird because I participated in that last backyard ultra that they did.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the first time I had ever done anything like that. So that was fun, but I started to notice like later on when I was running by myself or at in the dark, it's a lot more harder to do it when you're just by yourself like that.
Right.
So
how'd you end up, what'd you do for the backyard ultra? What'd you finish?
I think what did I do? I ran 31 hours. So I don't know what the mileage is on that.
Like 120 or 130-ish miles.
Yeah. And it was weird too because a few days before I had been building up to go after FKT out here at Joshua Tree. It was 74-mile out and back. And I found out like basically 2 days before that they had closed all the parks. So I shifted from running, 74 miles on a trail to I'm going to jump into this backyard ultra thing and running, 60 miles on the treadmill and 60 miles outside. So it was fun though. I enjoyed it.
That's cool. Yeah, it's definitely a weird experience, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How far are you from Joshua Tree?
I'm about 45-minute drive, not too far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I visited there last year for the first time, and it was like blew my mind. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, maybe I can just go out there and park and just sneak in and run it. But then I thought, I'm going to get halfway through the run and get stopped. And, I said, forget it.
Yeah. So. I hear you. That's cool. So when you are training, what, I think actually someone asked this question, so I'll just throw it up there real quick.
Yep.
So we'll do this for, as far as shoes, what Hoka do you wear?
Usually I'm running in the Cliftons for most of my longer runs.
Okay.
I have been liking the Carbon X when I go for my speed stuff. I wore the Carbon X at the USA, I love those shoes. I'm actually kind of curious to see what these new, what are they, the Clifton Edge that just,
dude,
I saw the reviews that you guys posted on them.
Yeah, I've been wearing it the last few days. It's pretty cool. It really is like, I'm actually not a huge Hoka fan, which is weird because I want to be, but for some reason they don't hit me right. But this is probably my favorite Hoka that I've worn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And did you run in the 10.9 too, or?
I have run in 10.9, and here's what I was hoping. Okay. I was hoping that the 10.9, what I felt in the 10.9, I was hoping it would translate over to the Edge, but with less weight, and which is really what happened.
Right.
Because the 10.9 is just crazy heavy. It's like, I think it was like 12.5 ounces or something. But the Clifton Edge is like 8.7 ounces, so it's like really light. But
Awesome.
the heel thing, it's like it's jarring to see. I get it. Like people
Right.
are like weirded out, but it
Yeah.
really like rolls through the transition like super smooth. It's kind of a weird feeling.
Interesting.
But even if you're like not, because people are like, well, if you're a heel striker, if you're not a heel striker, if you're not going downhill, does that shoe, like, do you need it? And I'm like, I don't know if you need it, but like it doesn't feel really any different than a normal running shoe. It's not as soft, or like it's a little more firm than a Clifton, because it's not.
Okay.
It's like, yeah. So I don't know if they like if the name is on it just so people have some familiarity with the shoe, because it's
Right.
really a lot different.
Different. Right. Yeah. Even
Yeah.
the bottom of it looks completely different.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Elevon, which is, I think, in their Pro Fly series. It's kind of like that shoe mixed with the Clifton, mixed with the 10.9. I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
I think you'd end up liking it though. But so you use the Clifton for a lot, or the Carbon X for a lot of your daily training type stuff.
Yeah, that, and I shift between those two and the Rincon. I use quite a bit too.
Sure.
Yeah, and then for the trails, I'll do Speed Goats and the Torrents. So
okay, so like kind of the standard trail and road arsenal for Clifton.
Yeah. I've been wearing Hoka for 5 or 6 years now, and I haven't had any issues with them. I've just always loved wearing their shoes. So
that's awesome, great. And yeah, so like obviously XOSKIN socks have we reviewed them before and talked about them before, and they're one of the few companies that uses like copper technology to kind of ward off moisture, antibacterial, antimicrobial stuff. So obviously they've worked well for you too.
Yeah, I was using Injinjis. I always have loved toe socks.
Okay.
And the biggest problem with the Injinjis was I would just blow through the toe so quickly. And I mean, they're quite a bit thicker too. So once I'd always heard of XOSKIN, but they didn't have the toe socks when I first heard of them. And when they came out with them, I said, well, might as well try them. And they've been great. I think I still have a original pair that I've had for 2 years, and they just look brand new. It's amazing how well they hold up. And
that is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out for 5 or 6 mile runs, and I'll clean them off in the water and let them dry, and they still just like they were, like I never even used them. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing.
So bonus, you always have a pair of socks at hand. You don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about losing them in the washing machine to the sock trolls.
No, and they're great. I mean, I wear them, trail running, road running, any conditions. They work great.
That's awesome.
So.
Nice. And then what about someone just asked this question, which I think there was a sticker that somebody asked as well. What do you do for nutrition or fueling, especially during a race? Longer race? Yeah,
I've been working with Spring Energy, using their products for a while. I'm one of their ambassadors, so mostly anything under 100 mile, I can usually pretty much do the whole thing just on gels. I take usually one every half hour. They have a 250 calorie and a 100 calorie one, so I'll just switch between the two.
Okay. So during a 100-mile race, you'll eat 30 gels?
I have, yeah. I mean, I'll mix in, everybody gets kind of flavor fatigue after a while. So, I'll mix in some other things like, what was I eating over at Jackpot? Like Pringles, chips, the typical.
Okay,
yeah. So just kind of whatever your body craves at the time.
Yeah. I've only done a handful of ultras, but I crave soda when I'm in it, but I really don't drink soda outside of it.
Right.
So it always ends up making me incredibly nauseous for like 2 miles.
Okay.
But it sounds like a great idea at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do I'll get maybe 50, 60 miles in, then I'll start, transitioning more caffeine, just Coke, and like Red Bull works great for me. When I was in, doing the 24 hours in France, it was a lot of Coke. And in the middle of the night, I had this strange craving for French fries. They were
Oh,
doing
man.
they had like a little booth set up outside for the spectators to go and get food. So I ran by the crew and I was like, "Can somebody just give me a cup of French fries?" And there was a few laps that I did around that I was just carrying a cup with French fries, and
You're like,
yeah,
I'm in France. I want French fries.
yeah. I mean, you smell that, fatty, salty smell. You're like, oh, French fries sounds awesome right now.
Dude, I think I've had that craving every hour of my life during quarantines.
Oh yeah, for
French
sure.
fries sound delicious all the time.
Yep.
Anyways, so yeah, so that's cool. I've always been fascinated with the people who eat the goose the whole way through a race. So I'm glad to have finally met you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything over 17 hours, when you start getting into the nighttime, you just get so sick of eating those things. When you're going to finish by a certain time, you just kind of power through it, and
Yeah.
those things have always worked well with me. They never mess with my stomach, so just kind of stick
I
with
mean,
what
that's the
works.
thing. Like, clearly it works for you, so you might as
Yeah.
well just keep doing it,
Right. Yeah.
Um, so what other plans you got going on for next year? What are you thinking as far as race goals? I know, like, I saw on somewhere one of your bucket list goals was doing Badwater 135 or Western States. So it's like,
Yeah. I'm still, going through the lottery process with Western States.
right.
I had planned to do Leona Divide 100K, which is a qualifier this past April, but it got canceled, so it got pushed back until later in the year. Hopefully that goes through. But
Okay.
Badwater is always, it's been one of those things where I want to do it, but just the cost of it and having a family,
Yeah.
it's kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So my focus right now is to just, they have Worlds next year, 24-hour Worlds, which will be, I think it's in May in Romania.
Okay.
So that's kind of the focus right now. I'd like to go, I'm signed up to do Desert Solstice again this year. So actually I'm signed up for the Dome, which is in July, but that's not really looking promising right now.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of just trying to stay focused, trying to train hard, even though there's really nothing in the immediate future to train for. So,
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
feel like that's kind of where everyone's at right now. It's just like this limbo space that's like
Yeah.
trying to still do all that.
When it first started, when everything started getting canceled, I use races as motivation, and, a couple of months into it, it's just like, it's kind of good. It's like, you don't have that, thing to go after, so you can kind of just enjoy running a lot more.
Right.
Go
Yeah.
back to why you started running in the first place.
Yeah. It
So
has been kind of cool. Like, even for me personally, I've just started doing short doubles every day,
hmm
and it's much more enjoyable and fun than trying to have to, well, as you know, like with a family, like wedge in like a 7 mile run, or like, have that chunk of time to do a 7 or 8 miler. Where if I
right.
do, a 3 and a 4, like one in the morning, one at night, it's much more manageable. And it's
Yeah.
kind of fun. It's just like, oh, I'm just doing little runs all the time.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that we've been focused on, my coach and I, is trying to get my marathon speed back, because you go into ultras and you run
Yeah.
slower for longer, so you kind of lose some of that speed. So I'd like to, since we don't have anything on the, calendar coming up, maybe just try to dial in some of that speed and get faster. So just kind of mix things
Nice.
up, while we have the chance.
Yeah, I like that too. I was talking to, who was I talking to? I forget, another athlete that was basically saying, um, Jake, oh my gosh, from that got silver in the Olympic trials. Why am I forgetting his last name now? Totally blanking.
Mm.
Another Jake. Anyways, he's going for, like, since he's going to be in the Olympics next year, or it's postponed, he's thinking of doing some like cross country stuff in the fall, like mixing it up, doing some things like that. So
Yeah.
it's really cool, like just being able to maybe do something that you always wanted to do but couldn't really because you had other goals, and now you're freed
Right.
up to just do whatever. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, once the parks open up, I'd still like to go back and try to get that FKT, just,
Dude, that'd be
right.
cool.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, the FKT through Joshua Tree would be a pretty nice goal to have.
yeah.
Let me check to see if there's any more questions
Okay.
real quick for you. This kind of already asked about your training schedule, or we didn't ask about your training schedule. So what does your training schedule look like? I guess a synopsis of what you kind of do to train.
I usually get up around 4:30 in the morning. I usually run every single day. My coach Patrick, he's been having me. We do a long run on Sunday. Been getting up in the miles on the long runs. I think last week I did 25. The week before that I did 27, somewhere around there. We
Wow,
usually
okay.
do like a recovery run on Monday. Tuesday is more of an up tempo. Wednesday is always my quality session where I'll get my speed work in. Thursday's an easy run. Friday will be a little bit more up tempo, and then Saturdays, my wife's an ultra runner too, so
Oh, wow, okay.
I'll go out and run with her for her long runs on Saturday mornings. So that's been
Okay.
kind of the typical schedule.
That's awesome. It's nice probably that your kids are a little bit older so they can hang out at home while you and your wife go
Oh yeah,
on a run.
like this morning I got up early. I did about 5 miles, and she had a 5 mile run. So we just leave a little note on the table, and she met me out there, and we got both of our runs in. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. That's cool.
so
Nice. Let me see. I think we had another question. Cody asked this. What is your dream ultra to run? I guess we already considered that or talked about that. Do you have any others besides Badwater 135 or Western States?
I'd love to do a multi-day race. I know the Dome has 6 days in the Dome. I'd like to kind of venture
Yeah.
more into the multi-day kind of things.
Cool.
UTMB is always, something I would
I was
want to
gonna
try.
say.
I think I've transitioned more into like the flatter, timed,
Yeah.
loop based kind of races. But, I love getting up in the mountains when I have the time. So, I mean, that's always a race that's just like always going to be on my bucket list. So,
I mean, that would be pretty amazing for sure.
yeah.
What was the other race I was thinking? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah. Obviously, those are all like pretty awesome. Like UTMB's, kind of the top goal for a lot of ultra
Yeah.
runners.
And I mean, I always have the idea of someday hopefully being able to run across the US, just doing something epic like that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't
So,
know if you had any like weird running goals like that or like an FKT outside of Joshua Tree, something like totally insane
yeah.
um, that you'd like to accomplish.
The sky's the limit really, and a lot of it's just work and family and, just trying to schedule it all in,
Yeah, I
So
feel you. How long have you worked at UPS for?
I've been there 23 years now.
Okay, so you have a good like probably like vacation and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Allows you to kind of do some more of those races that, might have to take off a few days for.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't generally get sick all that often. So all of my sick days and all of my vacations are kind of based around our races and, family stuff. So
That's cool. Nice. Let me see if I had any more questions. I think that might have been it. We just had a few. I'll ask one more that Cody asked. Let's see. Do you have your eye on a shoe sponsorship, or maybe do you have any other sponsors that you're talking to? I guess you don't want to say, but
yeah, I mean, Hoka, of course, would be the dream sponsorship. I was on their flyer team last year, but that's kind of like an influencer kind of deal.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the big one.
Are you with Rabbit? What tier are you with them?
I'm their elite trail.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'd love to be sponsored by them sometime too. They're an amazing company.
Yeah, we love Rabbit. Actually, next week Monica from Rabbit's
Oh,
gonna
awesome.
be on. We're gonna do an Instagram live with her.
Great.
We're also doing an Instagram live the same day with Des Linden, so we're pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
So that'll be a nice Thursday next week.
Yeah, I don't have any like paid sponsorships. I'm just an ambassador, which is fine. It's cool to get free gear and discounts and stuff. So
for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Thanks so much for coming on and talking to me. We will convert this video over to YouTube format so that you can share, or anyone else that's watching that maybe just jumped in can rewatch it on YouTube, or you can rewatch it here for 24 hours. So
Awesome. It's
but
great
yeah,
talking to you.
it's awesome talking to you and meeting you, Jake. Hopefully we'll get to do this again sometime. And
Definitely.
all right, I'll talk to you later, man.
Okay, take care.
All right, you too.